Good morning. It's Scott Cullen here. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. Great to be with you today. And it's time for another episode of Fridays with Frank. And today, Frank's joined by a special guest. So, Frank, how you doing today? Who do you have with you, and what's on your mind?
Well, I'm doing great, Scott. Hope the same for you as usual. We're very, very fortunate today. We have uh, a person that hosted a webinar that I was privileged to sit on, Patricia Ames from BPO Media, and had a great experience. And we even discussed it in a previous Fridays with Frank, that we got so many wonderful questions from her audience that we couldn't address. So first, allow me to welcome Patricia, and nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great. It's my inaugural showing on this prestigious broadcast, so I'm very honored to be here.
Well, thank you. You're very generous as always. So let's get to it. But one of the questions that were posed is, where do you see the channel going?
So I do think that there are a couple of trends we've been discussing. It was discussed on that webinar a bit the other week, Frank, that we were on together. And it's been a topic of conversation, obviously, the last couple of years as we go around to the different dealer events and analyst conferences. I do see some interesting trends coming up that we've been writing about in Workflow magazine more than in the Imaging Channel magazine. But it all focuses around transforming your dealership, your organization, into a services forward organization. So going from a transactional sales organization or a contractual sales organization more to a services led company. And there have been some kind of interesting studies and articles that I've read in the last couple of years. One big one was from Deloitte, but it's around fractional billing. And I think that, and I'm talking a good 5 years out on a lot of this for the dealers, but I feel like as they are, and you can see it in their evolution, a lot of the dealers are already going down this path. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a dealer the other day, and he said, we're a services-led organization now. We've transformed. So you're seeing that movement happening. But if you look ahead and you look at the intersection of cloud, of automation, the workflow side of things, the need for technology to be able to support billing software in fractional parts is going to be really important. So like Scott, you use graphic design tools. So let's say you're creating something for the web or for the magazine, and it's in InDesign. And you don't do it very often, so you just want to buy 5 minutes of InDesign software. The ability to start billing in fractional usage times is almost here. So companies like Ingram Micro and TD SYNNEX are already on this track. They've been looking at it and building for it for a decade. It's coming. The inflection point is coming for our industry. When that happens and the dealers are ready for it, it's going to open up a lot broader opportunity for them in revenue sharing possibilities, because they're going to be able to go in, work with a lot more software, a lot more types of companies, sell a lot more. It's just going to be in a fractional type of situation. It's not a on-premise, you buy this software, you're done. It's like you need 5 minutes of this. It's going to be a whole new world. So I think the services orientation and some of the vendors starting to support this type of fractional billing. One of them is already working on this, is a company named Digitech. I think both of you have seen them. Once we get to that inflection point, I think it's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities. So 5 years down, I think that's the direction we're headed. And I think that looks really good for the dealers.
Very interesting. Very interesting. For our next question, when do you think the private equity companies will consolidate, if ever?
I gotta tell you, I don't think they're going to consolidate. I don't think they play well with each other. I don't see any of them consolidating. I do think that that question is probably coming up because overall in the channel, we're seeing quite a margin squeeze, right? There's a lot of inflationary pressures on the dealers and on the OEMs, which is spurring more action to merge and buy. But I don't think that that is going to cause private equity companies to merge. I think it may cause some of them to roll out, but they're very hesitant to sell if they're not getting their number. So a lot of them are probably just going to be in there trying to patch things up and pretty up those balance sheets so that they can roll those out. There may be new entrants that have a different focus. Maybe as we get more and more towards these services-led companies where the primary concerns are, cloud and software, that's going to change how those numbers roll up, AI, automation, and they're going to be looking at different things. And so there's different ways then that they can get the nut. But I don't think there's going to be any merging of PE firms.